What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here to talk about the Detroit Lions. And this is one of the toughest losses. We've had a lot of tough ones. We have. But this one's definitely up there. One of the toughest losses that I've ever seen personally. And I've seen a lot. Not as many as everybody in here, but I've seen a lot of bad losses. This is one of the toughest that I've ever seen. As the Lions fall to the Baltimore Ravens 19-17. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we are back to talk about another Lions game as we head into next week and we get prepared for now the Chicago Bears, man. I think divisional play really starts to kick off now. This was a heck of an opportunity today, and we had it, and it just, oh, man, it's so hard to describe that feeling. It's just kind of that empty feeling, you walk away with. It was just such an intense fourth quarter, really the second half about midway through on, and you're locked in. Everybody's hyped. The crowd is the loudest it's ever been. And you feel like you just put yourself in a spot where we got this. 4th and 19, you got Eminem on the big screen, and you're like, dude, we're getting off the field. And then all of a sudden, just seconds, we're 0-3. But this one definitely hurt, and it took me a while to really relax and have to come back to, talk about this game. I just needed a little bit to kind of all right. And I didn't really dive into the film heavy. I did watch it back a little bit. I got my notes, my takeaways from this game, so my initial reaction. So keep that in mind as we go through this. We'll dive more into the film as the week starts. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on Last Second Dose with my man Rad. And, I even feel bad because he wasn't watching this live because of work. So he texts me, he's like, man, I saw we lost. What happened? I'm just like, I don't even know how to text it to you, man. I just don't know how to explain it. This is just, it hurts. It hurts. But at the same time, I do want to say this before we start diving into this. I hope the Lions do keep their head up. It's kind of the message that it seemed like Dan Campbell gave this team. He was proud of his team. Just keep your head up because as tough as this is, and as tough as it may feel, you can't let this, put you down because number one, it's a long season. But number two, man, if you do, things they can spiral out of control quickly. And I do think there's been improvements game to game in certain areas or things that have been better. And we went toe to toe. We put ourselves in a spot to legitimately win this game. I even watched it back and heard the announcer say the Lions can smell their first win. And I'm just like, oh gosh, just stop it. It hurts. But you cannot let this put you down. You just have to bounce back and say, hey, it happened. It's in the past. Let's move on and go get this week. Because guess what? You got Chicago next week. And I'm pretty sure you follow that up with Minnesota, if I'm correct on the schedule. Those 2 weeks can basically decide your season. So you better be ready to play. You got to put this in the rear view mirror and move on. But us, we're going to talk about it a little bit. So, as I said, this was a very tough game. I'm honestly sorry. Obviously it hurt. But, man, for all you Lions out there, I'm sorry that this had to happen. This one was just, it's just those feelings. Like Jared Goff says, getting punched in the gut. It's just, and you just sit there kind of in silence for a while. We just sat there, everybody's walking out, and you're just like, how? There's certain, you lose, right? There's ways to lose, but this kind of loss was different than the first two. You lost to San Fran, okay. You lost to, Green Bay, all right, that was a bad second half. But this one, the way you lost for Justin Tucker to make history against your team, it's just like, oh my goodness, man, you can't even explain that feeling. But the first half was kind of a weird first half. It was a 10-0 first half. And, I hear people saying, oh, the Ravens, they left points on the board. They missed opportunities, and they did. But at the same time, I also feel like the Lions offensively missed some opportunities and didn't take advantage when they had some chances. Okay, starting off, let's start with the Lions offensively here, then we'll get to the defense. I saw first off, the run game was a little bit hit and miss. We had some chunk plays. Man, Swifty looks good. Oh, my good. Swifty became the guy in the second half, rushing the ball, catching the ball, whatever it was. Swifty was the guy in the second half. The Lions played through him. So DeAndre Swift looking like DeAndre Swift of old, and I love it. Jamal has some chunk plays, and we also had a couple of negative plays in the backfield. But the Ravens came out, and it seemed like they were just selling out to stop the run. Extra guys in the box, one safety deep, sometimes no safeties. The Lions came out early wanting to hit some shots on early downs. They wanted to get that Khalif Raymond play on the first down. They just were unsuccessful with any of those early down shots, so that wasn't there. And then you had a little bit hit and miss sort of the run game. But one thing that I took note of, man, was on those third downs. The obvious passing downs, 3rd and 5+. Some of their defensive linemen and pass rushers, they do know you're throwing the football in this situation. And we dove into this in the game plan. We're like, hey, the Lions, they got to be able to pick up this pressure because the The Ravens will show everybody on the line. They'll drop different guys. And it wasn't like they went cover zero every play. Sometimes they were getting here with 4-man rushes. But what really concerned me about the Ravens was their ability to get pressure with 4 guys, with some of the stunts they could throw at you.
It's plays like this where you see how well he disguised this. A 3rd and 6, so Goff needs a little bit of time, and they're not able to get there. This is slowed down, remember, but they disguise things really well. You have Clark who fakes, and then he dives inside. Frank Ragnow slides to the right, and you just completely overload Jonah Jackson's gap there. You have a free rusher. Because Goff doesn't seemingly recognize the overload to the left side because of their late disguise, by the time he gets to his second read and tries to turn around, he's sacked.
He's extremely well, and we weren't able to pick him up in the first half like we should have. That goes on the offensive line, sometimes running backs, the quarterback as well. You got to be able to pick up those blitzes, and we weren't having success doing that and giving Goff a good amount of time to be able to make some passes on those obvious passing downs to keep drives alive. In this game, the offensive line, a couple guys, it wasn't perfect today. Penei Sewell, I don't think he played at the level he did in the first 2 weeks. I'll have to look back at it, but he seemed to have a little bit more issues. He had some flags. Jonah Jackson has up and downs. He looks much better as a run blocker, but he still had his ups and downs as a pass protector.
Now, notice the bracket coverage they kind of play on Hawk here. They have Patrick Queen going to drop in the inside, and then they have the cornerback who's going to play the outside. And they take away Goff's first read, but also the stunt inside. This is only a 4-man rush. You can see Jonah Jackson on the interior. They're not very successful picking up the stunt. They get pressure, and Sewell's beat on top. And by the time he gets, past his first progression, there's pressure, and now he's taking off. These 3rd and mediums became an issue in the first half. Here, they're going to show everybody on the right side, so that's what Goff is paying attention to. Now, you need 6 yards, so you have to wait, and if the first progression is not there, you could be in trouble. So you're looking at the right side, but they're going to disguise a cornerback blitz from the left side. Now, his first progression, his first read here is T.J. Hockenson. You can see that's where his head goes right away. Now, they're going to drop over the middle, so that route's not there. By the time he gets to his second progression out of his break right here, it's not there because Khalif Raymond is not running the route. So Goff didn't notice this pre-snap to check to something different, and now this play is completely blown up with the blitz. Second half, we came out and we avoided this basically the entire way to start the second half with our first touchdown drive. But in the first half, man, these 3rd and 6s were giving us some problems with some of their disguises in terms of blitzing that they were throwing at us. And they weren't always even blitzes. You just didn't know where it was coming from.
Frank Ragnow even had his ups and downs, which is not a usual thing for him. So, just the pickups on some of those 3rd downs.
Our first scoring drive, we basically avoid these 3rd down situations altogether. You had the great swift play on 2nd and long. Then here they're going to blitz the right side. He picks up on that rusher, and as soon as he knows it, he just throws it right back to the blitz, right where it came from. He stays in a pocket, delivers it. He was delivering some strikes, but passes like this, I think, really got him into a rhythm. They know the pressure's coming inside, so they hit Swift in the flat and let him eat.
But here's where I really think we cost ourselves in the first half. 2 times, you have 3rd and short, you have an opportunity to keep the change alive. 1 time, the first time in particular, it's like a 3rd and 2, you're across the 50. I don't think anybody scored at this point in the game, and you have a chance to keep the drive alive. And you don't. You hit DeAndre Swift going over the middle, and the Ravens were playing this tight coverage with their cornerbacks, dragging over the middle. He catches it. First off, I think he ran his route too shallow, and that's what DoseOfDion was saying. Why are you running your route too short? It looked like you just ran it too shallow, but he catches it. Great tackle. By the way, Chuck Clark was literally everywhere. The guy had 12 tackles, which is nuts. Did not expect that. He tackles DeAndre Swift short. So you're like 4th and 1. So Dan Campbell puts his offense out there. Now, he could have probably attempted a long field goal, but it was a new kicker. So he puts his offense out there. Okay, we've seen him go for this. But this is where we hurt ourselves. 3 penalties in the first half on 4th down? What? 3 penalties? So we get a penalty on 4th and 1. So now you don't have the opportunity to jump them off sides. Go for it. You have a penalty that moves you back, and now you're forced to punt it. So there's no field goal opportunity. You move yourself back. Then this comes back and happens later. Now, the next time it happened wasn't when we were like across the 50. But 3rd and short, you have Khalif Raymond. It's kind of like a pick play. We threw it out to Khalif. Ball probably could have been led a little bit better there by Jared Goff. But regardless, he's a shorter receiver as well. I think he picked up the first. Watching it back, I was like, bro, he got the first. We watching the replay. But anyway, they didn't give it to him. All right, so it's 4th and short. Now, there's no guarantee the Lions would have went for this, and I don't think they would have. But again, you have a flag. And I don't know if that's why Sewell jumped forward. I mean, you have to think as a lineman, like, hey, you were not snapping the football. How do you jump offensively? You're not running the football. So unless they were running, I don't know how you jump. But Sewell jumps. And all of a sudden, okay, we're backed up. No chance to draw them off sides. Now we got to punt it. So it was like those 2 things where it's like, man, we are really hurting ourselves. And you get that with the young offensive line. I get it. We had back-to-back penalties for Jonah Jackson. And you could see Dan Campbell's reaction. He was like, get over here, man. Get off the field. What are we doing? And then you cap that off, and this one's not offensively, with an opportunity to get the ball in Ravens territory. First half, you haven't scored. Sometimes you just need that spark because like Dan Campbell talks about the flow of this game was more of that, missed opportunities offensively. You weren't making plays offensively. So something's got to happen. And we had a chance with special teams to make that play that could flip the script. And we did. But Jerry Jacobs gets flagged. So we don't get the recovery. So you know what I'm saying? Defensively in the first half, I thought actually one thing that I loved about this game plan the entire way was the run defense. This is the best rushing team in football. Lamar's going to run a lot. They run the ball. Obviously, they are the best rushing team in football in terms of averages, yards, attempts. They just run over everybody. And it's such a tough team to scheme for. And the success that you've seen the Ravens have in week 1 and week 2 rushing the football, you're like, how do you stop this team? And without Trey Flowers, we go out there, and I thought the game plan was phenomenal. Guys were disciplined in my eyes. I like the new inside linebackers. I think the Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Derek Barnes switching back and forth. I think that's got to be bright. I think it's got a bright future. I do. I think they're impact players. But I like the discipline, setting the edge, consistently getting to the outside, forcing plays upfield. The run defense, man, they were doing some things. And we're talking about the best rushing attack in football heading into this week, and we were doing some things. So I was very proud and happy for that part defensively. Now, one spot where it felt like we were kind of soft in coverage was between the linebackers and the safeties. And all 22 would help a lot here. It looked like we were just taking away the underneath routes, which would have been the first read for Lamar, which is why it seemed like he held it a lot longer. And I actually think that helped some of our pass rushers. Julian, Romeo, they got there sometimes. We just didn't finish enough. So many chances where we got our hands on the quarterback, we don't finish, man. Give me a sec, because Lamar, a 3rd and 10 is not enough. He can scramble. Just finish the play. We were unable to finish a lot of those plays, and we held in the field goals. One of them kept him in field range because we couldn't finish the play. But I felt like we were playing underneath, take away the immediate route, take away the first easy read for Lamar, try to allow that pass rush to get there without blitzing. I like the game plan there. And then the safeties play deep to not allow the deep shots to Marquise Brown, things like that. That could be the explosive that would take you out of the game. So I understand schematic side of it. However, when we didn't get there with pressure, if Lamar was able to escape and keep the play alive, the middle of the field between the linebackers and safeties, there was some weak spots, and they attacked that. It was Mark Andrews, a little bit of Marquise, a little bit of, other guys, but it was mainly Mark Andrews who was attacking that part of the defense. But even then, I understand you got to take something away, especially when you have a lot of young corners, a very young secondary. You have to take something away. And I thought schematically, I understood why they did what they did. So I got that part. Now, Dan Campbell did also stress communication as, we had some errors there. And again, you have a young secondary. You got a lot of new players like Price, AJ Parker, who's a rookie. You have a lot of new pieces in the back end. So these communication errors are not acceptable, but they did happen. And we saw it, one in particular that was a huge play. You have a 3rd and extremely long. It's a 3-0 game, and you give up a touchdown. You knew they were passing the football, and it wasn't just you gave up the touchdown. It was that you gave up the touchdown with no one near him. And it was clearly, to me, a communication error when that happens. And it looked like the replay's terrible from it. I don't remember extremely well from, live reaction. But it looked like Amani just started to drop and then he just stopped. And and Amani should have dropped deeper. Like almost maybe if it was a cover 3 drop, just drop deeper. He didn't keep dropping. So it left like just a huge gaping hole in the back of the end zone. Dude's uncovered. And I think maybe some of that happened because there was a lot of communication going on. You see guys moving around trying to adjust to the motions. And I like that. I love the communication between the defenders. Almost looked like a few times they were trying to play Amani in man coverage on a guy like, Brown or whoever it would be. Some of them would play zone. So I can see how communication problems could come up here and there. But man, that one hurt because you go from 3-0 to 10-0 on a play where they shouldn't have scored. Simply put. So did they leave plays on the field? Yeah, they did. They left a couple of bombs on the field. Bobby Price got just burnt on one that went right off his fingertips. And then you have the pass again deep to Marquise Brown, which is incomplete. And that one looked like a zone mess up in communication. So they did miss some opportunities, but I felt like so did we. So either way, it's 10-0 at half. You're going to halftime. Okay. Did not feel good, but it was only a 10-point game. We were down by 21 to San Fran. So I was like, hey, at least we're doing something. You come out of half, you give up a field goal. Okay, it's 13-0. But that's when the Lions offense started to really find that rhythm. It found that rhythm that we've seen in flashes like, hey, this is what this offense can be. Consistency. Bam. 10-plus play drive. 6-plus minute drive. Definitely just started feeding Swift, and they just took what the defense gave them. They fed Swift to the outside. They got some perimeter runs. They let Swift eat, dusting, what San Fran was giving you, and that was, hey, Swift can eat. Let's feed the dude. And I like that. They talked about it. Oh, who was ever hot? He was hot. We fed him. So I like that we just played through DeAndre Swift in that second half. Leaf Raymond also did his thing. Aside, again, I'm going back to the first half. We had a couple drops in the first half. They had their drops, so did we. We had a drop to Khalif, which was like a 5-yard pass. I know it doesn't sound huge, but it's a difference between 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 10. That's a big difference. You had a couple drops. You had to drop before half, even though it was kind of tough. So you had a couple of incompletions that possibly could have been caught in the first half to grab some momentum. Plus, you had that backwards pass, which completely got jacked up. At least it wasn't worse. I like the creativity, and it looked like it would have worked because this was a flying defense, aggressive. They were shooting down on us. So I understand the play call. I like the play call. It just went horribly wrong. And Swift actually worked out in our favor that he went forward because it fell incomplete. But, Swift tried to throw back to Goff. So we tried some things. I didn't necessarily hate the play calling. I like the creativity. I like how in the second half we adjusted and we found ways to feed the hot hand, and we gave ourselves a chance to slow down a run game like we did. I thought that was extremely impressive. Yeah, they missed some plays, but it happens this football. So did we. And I thought the schematics of this was very, very good defensively. I thought Aaron Glenn was prepared for this, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Yeah, defensively, you held him to, was it 9 points second half, but really up until the last craziness, 6 points. So you did your thing defensively. And the nice thing was the offense was responding even though the defense gave up a couple field goals coming out of the half. You give a field goal coming out of the half, we go down and score a touchdown. Give another field goal, we go down and score a touchdown. So we kept responding, and we just kept pushing ourselves back into it. So when the defense needed a little bit of help, our offense said, hey, okay, we got you. So that was nice to see that. At least we responded in the second half. We saw that response. 4 full quarters game, which we're waiting for. But honestly, in football, how often do you get that? You get that like maybe once a year. You get a great 4 quarters game. But it's just about making enough of those key plays. We talked about it last week. You got to make those key plays go in your favor. Second touchdown and your defense comes up clutch. Allow yourself to not have to be down by a touchdown. It changes the game plan up, the way the defense approaches it, the way that you can approach it. The defense makes a clutch stop. They get across our 50, and then you get a clutch stop. You get a short run for 3 yards. You get Alex, who comes up with a sack. So, we were holding in coverage early because I think the way we're doing things schematically, and when we were able to get pressure and close on it, that was great. And I thought we did a pretty darn good job considering how explosive this offense was in the first 2 weeks. Get those 2 plays. You're in a 3rd and long, and guess what? Amani sits there, and he just waits on it. He just picks it off. All right, so 3rd and long. Yeah, it could try. But after Tucker knocks that through, I don't know if they take the field, but I'm just saying, Amani gets the pick. It's the first pick of the season. Congratulations, Oru Warrior. Great job by the defense. They came up clutch there, and then our offense does what they had to do. They move it down the field. They move it down the field. They stay poised. They just take what the defense giving them, what's working. They're feeding the guys they like. They hit Khalif on that nice little screen. I love it. He takes off, gives us a first down, puts us into the red zone. All of a sudden, we're at the 13-yard line. Khalif was really good in this game for the receivers. He was by far our best receiver in this game, aside from like that beginning drop and then maybe the one before half, sort of. But I thought he played really well. This was his drive. He had the screen. He had a big play over the middle, which ultimately got challenged, which was a huge challenge because it was John Harbaugh's timeout that we put on the line there. And Khalif Raymond made the catch, attacking this seam route. It was kind of the same approach that we had last week that I want to take is just don't give them the ball back. You did not want to give them the ball back, but at the same time, it was a tough spot to be in because they had a lot of time to work with. So you don't want to give them the ball back, but it's really tough to not give them the ball back. However, man, it's just like, oh, gosh. Okay, so the first down play, we get a yard. I get it. You ran on first down. Not a lot of yards there. Okay. But I think it's that second down play that I circle as I say, okay, this is the play that I think kind of jacked up everything here because you have Jared Goff who trips on the handoff. Why does it happen? He trips over Frank Ragnow. He trips over Frank off the snap, who, because he trips over Frank falls on the ground, blocks nobody, so there's no lead blocker. Goff is falling down, hanging off. It's probably messes up the timing. And when he gets the handoff, there's nowhere to go. Instead of being in a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. No, you're way back, 3rd and long. It takes a lot of weight. You ask yourself, what do we do on a 3rd down play? And I get the argument, hey, Goff, go win it for us, take the shot. I had no issue if they would have taken a pass there. I would have had no problem. I actually said to myself, I think you're going to have to throw it. But they decided to run it, so they decided to go with the time. And even though it's tough as that felt, it felt like it was the right decision when, we're on 4th and 19. Shout out to Ryan Santoso. He does his thing. New kicker to knock down field goal. It wasn't anything crazy, but he knocked it down. Gave us the lead for the first time in the game. We're feeling real good. And you get yourself into a 4th and long defensively. If you're a couple plays defensively, right? You get a sack. You're bringing 4-man rushes. You get him pushed out of bounds. It's before you know it, it's 4th and 19. You got a pass over the middle that's forced incomplete. We're winning this game. You got Eminem on the big screen. Let's go, Detroit. I'm like, what? We're winning. The crowd was nuts. And that's when things went downhill. Defensive play call does confuse me watching it back. We were getting so much pressure on the early downs with Lamar Jackson just bringing a 4-man rush, the stunts, Romeo, Julian, Charles. Romeo and Julian combined for 10 pressures in this game. We were getting after him, and then we bring 3 on 4th and 19, and I get it. They have to pick up the 19 yards. It just looked confusing. I don't know who this is on. It could have been on Will Harris. Sort of looked like man, but at the same time it didn't. I have no idea what they were doing in the back end, but you gave up the pass deep over the middle inbounds, and it still didn't seem like it was enough. Don't know why, because it gave him like all day to just wait for it to come open. It seemed like, man, I get it. At the same time, I don't get it because you were finding success. If you didn't get success with a 4-man rush, okay, let's just drop an extra one back. But the success you had with the 4-man rush, maybe it was because the Ravens put so many options. Like, they had like 5 receivers out there. The Lions were like, yeah, we have to only bring 3 because we want to have this many, guys in the back end. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was the Ravens offensive play call that forced the Lions to do what they did. Announcer said it, man. Like, the Lions they took away the run game. They did so well against this run game. I mean, that was just so impressive to me. For a team that did struggle against the run in week 1 like they did, to do that, I thought that was just so outstanding, and that just speaks to the improvements. Then, of course, you get the delay of game, which was not called, and even the announcer was talking about it. He's like, 3, 2, 1, and he just, like, it was clearly 0. It would have backed him up 5 yards. It would have made it a 71-yard field goal, which he would not have made. And even then, they would have had to pass it again. So they probably would have to take more of a shot. But at the same time, the Lions, what they did is they just put their defensive ends or outside linebackers on the sideline. So like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea because that's where the ball's going. 66-yard field goal. And, you're saying to yourself, okay, this is the best kicker in football, right? But at the same time, it's 66 yards. I didn't even realize it was that. It was far. I thought it was like 64, 65. But 66, I'm like, dang, this is long. And when he kicks it, I had a video of it, but it came out terrible, so I don't know if I want to show it. But let's go! Come on! Come on! Oh! Oh! I'm just like watching. You're just like, it almost like time froze, and you're like, it looks short. People are saying short, and it's just like it's still hovering though. It's not like falling. It's just like this, and you're like, can't really gauge it. You knew it wasn't off. It was just, does he have enough leg? And it's just like, once he hit the pole, it just like everything froze. And it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like a movie, like, and then it just sits in, and you're just like in shock. You don't know how to react. You're like, is there a flag? Something had to go wrong. It was a great time. It was fun. It was a battle. I love the way this team fought. I mean, we had it. We legit had it. I don't know. This was like, I don't know how to say it. We had the game right there, and the guy makes history in Ford Field. It feels like that video board material that they play at the beginning. You get knocked down. Like Dan Campbell said, we got knocked down, but we're going to get back up, and we're going to smile at you. So let's get back up, because we've seen this. We had the Atlanta one. You're off to a good start. Then all of a sudden this goes wrong. You have the Green Bay one. It's like you can't let this push you down. You can't let this determine your season. I know it's a tough start. We're not in a good spot right now, but at the same time, man, you have to find a way to bounce back. If that's what you are going to be, as a team. And these guys were in that spot. There's a lot of former players, so they know you have to find a way to bounce back and just keep that optimism. You'll take away the good, learn from it, not sulk in it. And do that, you can compete. And like Dan Campbell said, we learned a lot. This is a gritty team, because if you're not gritty, if you're not resilient, this team's going to it's going to be a problem. And also, I got to give some love to Megatron himself, Kelvin Johnson, man. They did the Hall of Fame stuff. That was awesome. I may post that clip, just post a video of it, because I have like a video that's like 7 minutes long of Kelvin. I thought, man, just give a clap to Kelvin Johnson. Absolute legend, man. It's crazy to think that he's retired sometimes. It's like, man, that dude's not playing anymore. Like, it's crazy. Just remembering watching him play how great he actually is, man. It's just like, wow, dude, you forget. Defensively, our secondary was getting super involved like they had to, and some of those times you are going to risk getting beat deep because you're shooting down to stop the run. So that was the focus, and that's what the focus should have been, if you ask me. Obviously, there were some questionable things down the stretch that maybe we did, but overall, man, I thought there was still a lot to like in this game. The way that we battled, the adjustments we made in the second half. There were a lot of bad ones, but this one, I don't know how to explain it. So we'll probably dive into this more tomorrow. I guess I'll just leave it there. And, I will be live streaming next week against the Bears. So that should be a good time. That is the plan, streaming. They're at Chicago. So the first stream of the year will be week number 4. But it should be really fun. And hopefully that means good luck and we get our first win, because I do believe, man, I really do believe this team can hang. I think this team can definitely hang. And I think we showed that today. We can absolutely hang. We should have won the game. I mean, simply put, we should have won the game. But, we both had missed opportunities on both sides. And that's kind of how the game was, right? It was just this crossbar. And they decided to bounce in. Big appreciation to the Detroit Lions for basically sending us out to this game. This was an awesome experience. Being in there with the crowd, just the reaction, just the feeling. It's just... You just can't remake it. So even though it was a tough loss, I really do appreciate it. We had some really good clips, and it was my uncle's first time going to a Lions game, so I know he was excited. I wish it would have turned out differently. Maybe he could have been the good luck charm. I don't know, but all in all, taking away from it, man, it was an amazing experience. Did get to meet one of you guys there. You said you were from New York. Okay, I said New York? What? My man, okay, shout out to you, Trav. Okay, from New York, that's wild. Anyway, also we are doing that ticket giveaway. I'm gonna be giving away 2 tickets to the Cincinnati Bengals game at home. I know we got a couple of weeks away, but I'm gonna be giving away 2 tickets to that game. So check out yesterday's video. You can skip to the end if you want to. I know, like, oh wow, it's a you don't want to watch the preview, but if you want to skip to the end of the video, it's like the last 2 or 3 minutes. I kind of gave you the details on how to enter that. So go to that video, enter it, because I'm gonna be looking at that comment section over and over and over just to put people into it. And sometime midweek, probably Wednesday or Thursday, maybe even a little bit later than it may stretch out a little bit, I will announce the winner of that ticket giveaway, and I will give you guys your 2 tickets to that Bengals game. So definitely jump into that. But I am excited to get back to the streaming. I mean, it is fun streaming, and I think man, I do like it. I like what we did schematically. I like the defense's approach. You made him be a pocket passer. I thought you did what you had to do. You did with what you had to do, and you did what you had to do defensively to give yourself a chance. And I thought we gave ourselves a chance. And honestly, to hold a team like that to basically, 16 points until the crazy field goal, I thought that was outstanding. And it was just one of those games, dude. Like, we played a rough first half offensively, but then the second half, we came out and we had those long drives. The second half flew by, so we didn't get tons of opportunities, but we took advantage every time we basically had it, aside from maybe having to settle for that field goal. And then you just... I mean, I don't know. You're 60, even the 66-yard field goal, it's just ridiculous. So just leave it there. We'll move on to this Chicago Bears week, man. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Thank you, Pride, for watching. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry this one was tough. But this week, man, we're back to the streaming. And again, go check out yesterday's video, because you guys should want to get to that giveaway, man. I want to give away 2 tickets because I do appreciate you guys. You guys are the reason that we were able to go to these games. So I do appreciate it. I want to give back some tickets to you guys. And look out for giveaways. I'm sure we'll have more coming. Thank you, Pride, for watching. And I'm out.